This is Uncommonly Remarkable. We have surprisingly casual discussions about the lives and notable accomplishments of community leaders, entrepreneurs, and everyday folks like you and me. Think of this podcast as an opportunity to learn something new and to pick up on an entrepreneurial tip or two through open conversation. I'm Artis Beatty. I'm a doctor of optometry and the chief medical officer for My Eye Doctor OD. Though we will inevitably touch on topics within my area of expertise, the opinions and conversations held here are separate from my work with My Eye Doctor. Welcome to the show. Today's guest is Dr. Alain Salas, a chiropractor, healer, and the creator of the Mind Clearing System. Raised in the south of France and once living the dream aboard a sailboat, his life took a dramatic turn after a personal health crisis, and burnout forced him to reevaluate everything he believed about healing. In this episode, we explore how subconscious programming shapes our health, our emotions, and our choices, and how Alain helps people reprogram their minds to overcome chronic pain, emotional blocks, and limiting beliefs. This is a deeply personal and practical conversation about how to truly heal from the inside out. Ladies, gentlemen, all you remarkable people, please welcome Dr. Salas to the show. Dr. Alain, welcome to the show. I am so happy you could join us this afternoon. It's going to be a great conversation. I have been looking forward to this over the course of the last couple of weeks, so I'm so happy our schedules could line up.
Yeah, thank you, Artis. I'm super excited to talk about like what's so important, talk about our mind, right? How it works and how we can make it work for us, right?
Well, I know that I know that there's a lot for us to talk about, and when we start talking about the subconscious and the way the mind works and what the mind does, that is a really big conversation. But maybe we should set the stage and talk a little bit just in general about who you are and what you do. So why don't you introduce yourself to us, and let's talk a little bit about where you are today.
Well, as you guys can hear, I was not born in the US, right? I've got a tiny accent, right? And I was born and raised actually in south of France. And so, so that explains the accent. I've been in America since 1993, right? And I came to this country to become a chiropractor, right? I was fascinated by what we call the innate intelligence, our own ability to heal ourselves, right? So, I'm sure we're going to go back to that story, but definitely I got come to the country, and so my basic formation, my basic education is chiropractic, right? But I've certainly extended and created my own health program, and because I think it's I believe in the holistic approach, right? And so we need to be able to address and assess, the physical aspect of the stress, and I created my own technique for that. The chemical aspect of the stress, which is inflammation, right, which gets rid of so many sickness and disease, autoimmune disorder, and things like that. And also, the mental and the emotional aspect, right? And so if you come to my office, right, we'll assess and address all those elements in your body, because you're not only a body, flesh and bone, right? You got a mind too that can be healed and transformed. And also you've got maybe some food allergy or some infectious agent in your body that really are creating fire in your body, what we call inflammation. So that's what I do. And I created a program that is called the Mind Clearing System. And this is fascinating to me. I still cannot believe that I created that, because I've got so amazing results. I really want to share that because it's dear to my heart. And until I die, that's what I'm going to do, teach and practice that technique, because as you know, the mind is so powerful, but so misunderstood.
That's absolutely amazing. And, a lot of the conversations I've had over the course of the last several weeks have really evolved around different aspects of the mind, and how the mind can really be involved in not just the way you think, but how you feel and how you function. We've learned some about hypnosis and how hypnosis can be used as a way to access the subconscious. And so this is just very interesting to me. But, you mentioned that you started with chiropractic, and you've evolved to kind of look at the source of the problem and work towards helping to solve that. But you didn't even start off with chiropractic, right? You in the south of France, which sounds amazing to me. I think about being there is like being in this amazing everlasting vacation. But you were doing other stuff in the south of France. You didn't start off thinking this is where you were going to land, right?
Exactly right, artist. For me, life was about freedom. And I thought like freedom was coming from the outside. So it was synonymous of adventure, right? So I wanted to live a full life and adventure. I didn't want, when I was looking at my family around and my friend, they had such a predictable life, right? They would get married. I mean, there's nothing wrong about getting married. I've been married twice, right? That's not what I'm saying. That is so predictable, right? And I had dreams, man. I really had dreams. I wanted to fulfill them. And so for me, the dream was, freedom, adventure, and I think it comes from my dad, because my dad was, unfortunately for him, a very negative person and controlling. And so that's why he got sick, very early on, at 40 years old. And he got on disability at 40 years old and never went back. Right. And so I think I wanted to escape. Yeah. I think I wanted to escape, and it's like, you unleash your dog that had always been around, and now he's like want to discover the world, right? And that's really the way I felt. And so that's why I actually I was living on my sailing boat. First, I found a job. I've got a background on electronic. I don't know if you know that. And so I did travel with my job all over the world, and we are installing some phone, company, and phone for Alcatel Thompson, which is a big company. And I went to Black Africa. I went to Iraq. I went to different countries, right?
Oh wow!
And so you know what I say about traveling? It's like you're having a virus and there's no cure for it, right? When you catch it, we're done, man. When you catch it, you've got the bugs and it will never leave you. And sure enough. So I was like, I had what you can call an ideal life for me at that time, right? Because I was working only 7 months a year, right? And it was in an environment like you described, it's not too bad, right? Working with tourists, because I was renting boat in south of France too, and in the same time, living in my boat, right? And after, when the season was done, I was sailing, and after when the weather got too bad in Mediterranean Sea, I will buy an airfare ticket to go to the South Hemisphere. So I guess you can call me a sun chaser, right? I didn't know what snow was, winter was for such a long time, For me, Christmas was synonymous to get cocktail on the beach, in the water, and celebrating Christmas, right? That's what this was about.
That sounds amazing. It does not sound like a bad life at all, but something happened and you decided that you were going to do something different. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. I had I was minding my own business, right? And partying all the time. They used to call me the gypsy. I had long hair, the earring, and living the life, right? I mean, a little bit, too much party maybe, but, actually I was young. I started my boat rental company. I was 22 years old, right? So I was very young. Anyway, So I was minding my own business and I had a calling. I mean, literally, I don't know how to explain that to you. I saw myself helping other people, like a kind of healing people, right? And so I said, what's that? Where this is coming from? But it was so deep. It touched my soul so much. And it was not, it's like when you know something, you know that you know. There's not even a doubt. There's not even a debate. You just have to do that, right? And so the problem is there was nobody in my family was even remotely involved with healing, no doctor, no nurses, no massage therapist, nobody. So I didn't know, I will describe it the best. It was like there was a brick wall in front of me and there was no door to go to the other side. So I started to talk to my client, and one of my clients, one day we were at the terrace de cafe, right? And we were drinking a panache, which is a mixture of beer and lemonade. I really recommend that. It's really
I've never had one of those. That sounds amazing.
That was really good. Panache, right? And so anyway, we were drinking that and relaxing and chilling, right? And I told him about my problem, right? And he told me, you know what? I've got a friend of mine. He's a Chinese doctor. He's going to come in a couple of weeks on a weekend. Do you want to meet him? I said, heck yes, okay. I had to have some connection whatsoever. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I met him. And that guy, just talked to me and basically give me 3 books to read, right? He said, what
Okay.
you're going to do, you're going to read those 3 books. And after, when your season is done, like at the end of September, right, mid-October, you can come to my office. To my office, I will treat you for free. And I will, we can talk. So sure enough, I will always remember those 3 books, right? They were all about philosophy. One was, and it was surprising, right? Because it's an acupuncturist, right? But anyway, that man was deep and really helped me to create some foundation for me. And so basically, the first book was called the Tao Te Ching, right? Which is like the ultimate book about the Chinese philosophy. Another one was called the Hara, Hara, which means belly in Japanese. And it's a technique of posture, but also philosophy, Japanese philosophy. That's why they do harakiri. I don't know if you have heard about that. When they were dishonored and they wanted to kill themselves, they will get a knife and put that underneath the belly bottom and kill themselves. That's at the Hara location, which is the center of gravity of a human being, right? So I read that book, and there was another one. It was the man between the earth and the sun, right? And which was a philosophical book about acupuncture. And I said, wow, that's pretty cool stuff, right? And so I went to see him, and his name was Philip, right? And I asked him about, of course, Chinese medicine, right? He told me, you know what, Alain, you can do that several ways, but if you want to know what you're doing, you need to do what I did. And so I asked him, what did you do, Philip? And he told me, when you have to go to China, learn Chinese, spend 10 years in China,
Wow.
learn all the old texts, I said, oh, hold on, man. I'm 30 years old. I'm eager to, help people, right? Cannot wait 10 years. So he laughed like you did, right? And look at me and smile and say, you know what, Alain, you look strong. Why not chiropractic? And I remember I said, what's that? And so he told me, he just give me some information about, the school. Like there was a school in South Carolina, like near to your state, right?
Yeah.
That is called Sherman Chiropractic. And there were some French people who went there and give me some contacts, some French people who went to study in America. And sure enough, I got some information from the school. And I will always remember this. I've got, the information translated by my best friend because she was an English teacher. That's how bad my English was. You have to be crazy, and just to still go to America. But anyway, and so again, that innate intelligence was fascinating to me, right? And I said it was working in my hands. I always like to work my hands, right? I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I sold my boat business. I sold my boat later on when I was in America, right? But I still sold it. And I told my parents, oh, by the way, guys, I'm going to America to become a doctor.
Wow.
They thought I was crazy.
How daunting is that, though? I mean, obviously you spoke some English, but like to come to America and really have to study in English, that's a different thing than conversational English. And so how did you think about that? Like, as you were making this decision, like, how did you wrap your brain around the fact that you're going to move, you're going to leave the family, you're going to sell the business and the boat, tell your parents bye. And not only that, but you had to come and study to learn something that was going to be extremely complex in a language that you were only somewhat familiar with.
Well, you have to be crazy, right? That's the only explanation. No, seriously, the fact of the matter is like, I didn't have any choices, right? I had to try it. It's like something you cannot leave it like this and say, well, no, I'm not going to do it. When you got such a calling so deep, you cannot help it. You just have to try it. And I remember, funny enough, you talk about the language, because I remember in Manhattan, that was my first night in America, right? And there were so many TV channel compared to France, right? So I was like, zapping all the channel, right? And you know what I end up listening? The Spanish channel. That's the one I could understand the best. I say, oh boy, we're in trouble.
That's amazing. And so you were in South Carolina, but you landed in St. Louis. Is that right?
No, I landed actually, yes. I did study in South Carolina, and I had my first treatment in South Carolina by a woman, listen to that, by a French woman from my hometown. I mean, that was like delirious, right? All these coincidences, so-called coincidences. She gave me my first treatment. I remember her name is Sylvie, right? And so they told me, you need to go to Kansas City, that's the closest, to do your prerequisite, right, before
Okay.
enrolling to the college. And so they sent me there, and I met, that French lady in a bar, Sandrine, that became my wife, and we had a daughter with her, and decided to stay in Kansas City.
That's amazing. So, and you've met French people who were here and from your own hometown. That's really
Oh, that's
crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
Wow. And so, did you went into practice then, in Kansas City?
Yeah. So I did practice, but I have to say I always have like a renegade mind. So before, like, they said I can't say that now. I think they're prescription, but in a chiropractic school, right, you have to do certain technique that you learn at school. And already I was learning more softer technique. And then behind the scene, I will tell my patient, okay, tell me if you like this too, right? I will do what I'm required to, but give that extra. So behind the door, I was doing that with my patient. And sure enough, I finished earlier with the clinic requirement because, everybody say, hey, look at this guy, he can really help you, because I was doing a little bit extra, right? And so they enjoyed it. And so I always, for me, it was always important because remember that calling was about helping people, right? So
Right.
that was the why. We all have to have a purpose in life. When you find your purpose, it's so important, right? But your purpose, sometimes I ask people, what is your purpose? They say, oh, I want to make $5 million. That's not a purpose. That's a goal. That's different. The purpose comes from your heart, is your why you do what you do. It's not the end result, right? I mean, the end result can be helping people. It can be also like this. So I had my purpose. I was blessed. They just give it to me, right? I knew what my purpose was. So, of course, I had the purpose define the level of energy you're going to have. Because when you are in your purpose, you are accomplishing your mission on life, you are unstoppable, right? I mean, the energy is still there, right? You've got let's imagine the energy being a fire. Just need to put some log in, to keep the fire going, right? But you already have a fire going, right?
That's right.
You see, and so so it was easy for me to go through that, and that Philip, that Chinese doctor, really helped me to open my horizon on different way to heal. What truly healing was, and I soon realized when I started to practice that here's the thing, Otis, what happened. I will get some result, right? And after, so they get pretty good very fast, and after they will plateau. And in order to maintain their plateau, so what they gain as far as healing, they still have to come to see me. So that didn't work well for me, right? Because I say, hold on. I believe in one thing, few things, but one of them is this. It's called the cause and effect. For every cause, there's an effect. For every effect, there's a cause. So I don't believe in chance. Right? I believe in, good timing and things like that. And so if I translate that into my world, it's like in order to solve any problem in your life, Otis, and your problem can be a relationship problem, a health problem, a prosperity problem, what doesn't matter, right? You need to know two things. If you know those two things, you have no more problem, meaning you can move down. You don't even think about your problem anymore. So what are those two things? Number one, you need to find out what's causing your problem. If you don't know what's causing your problem, how can you fix it, right? It's still very simple, but when you apply this principle to every decision you make in your life, you'll be surprised how many paths you're going to avoid. And the second one, you need to know how to fix it. So I thought about chiropractic. I said, well, maybe what we call subluxation, misalignment of the spine, is not the only cause of your problem, right? And so maybe the way to fix it, it's not only the solution. And soon I realized that we treat only doing chiropractic work, we treat only 20% of our nervous system, which is called the peripheral nervous system. All the nerves exiting the side of your spine, going everywhere in your body, it's only 20% of them. The 80% is your brain and the spinal cord. So I thought to myself, how can we access to the brain? And I became a cranial specialist because those cranial bone can move, right? And after I created my own energetical technique, I always had in my life some insight or deep inspiration or some things coming. I call that, just coming out of the blue, right? And just, I receive information. I don't know how to tell you that, right? And there's no thing. It's not metaphysical. I'm not like levitating and getting information. I mean, it's just, especially when I treat people, I've got some input coming, right? And so I'm smart enough to try it, right? And ask my patient, what do you think about that, right? And when I started I've got some input about my energetical technique. I remember treating that lady that way, and she said, don't stop. I said, why? She said, I like it. It's very good, right? And so, of course, I didn't stop. And after I did improve the technique, right? And so that was, that's why I believed that, there was more than chiropractic, right? I didn't get brainwashed, by the chiropractic. It just opened a door, and that door opened another door, right? And hopefully, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel,
You said a couple of things that I think are worth just mentioning. The first thing is you're right. Like if I think about chiropractic journeys in general, people go and they do make improvement, and usually that improvement is relatively quick. But there is a lot of maintenance that goes along with it, and a lot of people either give up on the maintenance because it's just really hard to do, or they just decide it's not really good. I can't sustain this. It's not something that I'm going to do over a long time.
I don't blame them.
And then they regress, right? So great for building practices because you get people to come back. Not so great for getting people to function on their own, which is where you were going. And I also think it is well worth mentioning finding the right problem. And because there's a lot of times people find solutions for things that are not necessarily the root problem.
Exactly.
And so you're constantly searching for solutions because you have not identified what the real problem is. And until you do that, to your point, you spend a lot of time in circles trying to figure out, why is this happening? Why is that happening? When underneath there's something else that needed to be fixed. And so this all sounds like you've had a lot of thought process around, and the journey outside of the chiropractic piece into the mind is now starting to make a lot of sense for me now.
Yes, and definitely it just, because I just want to truly to help people. That's why my heart is into that, right? So if you tell me you have to be upside down and I will help me, I'll do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? So, but again, you need to have a certain philosophy, right? Because I think, like, for example, regular medicine, I think it's awesome for emergency room. If I break my bone, I want the good surgeon. I want the anesthesia. I want the painkiller. Hey, no problem. Just, I'll take all that, right? And just fix me back, right? Put that back. But for long-term pain and stress, which is I specialize on, for autoimmune disorder, chronic disease, they cannot heal you the way I'm telling you, because they don't find out what's causing your problem. They treat only the symptom, right? So it will never be able to heal you. It's like, so for example, you've got arthritis. It means inflammation in your knee, right? So it's clearly chemical stress. It's inflamed, right? So you take an arthritis pill, right? And after you feel better, right? Are you truly healed? No, because the cause of your problem is not the lack of pills. It's not because you were missing pills, right? You see what I mean? I know it sounds silly what I'm saying, but that's what they sell. It's not healing things. It's I don't know how to call that. It's drug dealing, maybe. I mean, maybe I'm going too far here.
Well, but I think that the way you just described that is profound, right? Your problem is not the lack of pill. I mean, I don't know that you could have phrased that any better, because that makes the absolute sense. So then tell me then, how do you start to think about the mind and how the mind can be involved in this physical type of ailment?
Well, it didn't come to me like this. What happened, it's like I had problem, right? I'm like a simple man. It happens that I'm a doctor, but I truly wanted to find solution for my problem. That's really has been my intent, when I created the mind clearing, was about what all the events that happened to my life. And I really, first of all, I asked myself, what the heck happened to me? Right? And so maybe we can go there, right? And after I say, okay, how can we fix it, right? And so what's causing it, right? And can we find something, a way to fix it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So then maybe we do ask that. So you were in this
Yeah.
practice, you were seeing lots of people every day,
Huh?
building a strong practice. Um, what about that was not what you were looking for, and how did and what happened? What turned you
Yeah.
from that?
Yeah, you will. I mean, I was living the American dream, right? I mean, the guy, like the gypsy guy from south of France coming to America, having the big house, best neighborhood, right? And married, one kid, she was 6 years old at that time, Maya, my daughter, right? I loved her to death. And the dog, like the picture perfect, right? And making lots of money, having 4 employees, seeing 250 patients a week,
Oh wow, yeah,
I was living the life, right? And I thought, oh, I made it, all that. But you know what, artists? When you think that, oh, you all that, you made it, right? Well, if life's got more in store for you, and more likely, it always has, will tell you, hold on, you're not done, man. And so what happened to me within a year, because my mind was so much about the practice, it was my mission, man. I thought I was doing the right thing, right? And so, but it was too much, right? So I started to burn out. And on top of that, when I was coming home, I was there, but I was not really present, right? So I neglected, I'm sorry to say that, but I cannot believe I'm saying that, that's the truth. So I neglected my family, right? And so, of course, my marriage went down the drain, right? And I started to become depressed, because when you married and there's a kid, it's never a handshake, right? And so what happened with my daughter, all that dynamic and the guilt involved and all that. So I started to feel depressed, and my practice went literally from thriving to failing. On that big office with 8 treatment room, artists, I ended up living there. I thought, it's just for a few months, right? 3 years I live in that practice. Don't get me wrong, there was a shower and all that. But I guess the gypsy within me was still there.
Oh wow,
Yeah. 3 years it took. And on top of that, so I went down, with my marriage, my finances went down. I got broke, right? I divorced. The house went to my wife, right? And I ended up diagnosed with early stage of colon cancer. So here I am. Imagine, I will tell you what to do to avoid cancer, to avoid cardiovascular disease. Of course, I'm doing my own program. I'm getting sick. So I have to rethink everything about my life. I have to rethink everything about my relationship, obviously, about my prosperity, about my health, and even my job, because I was not doing a good job since I got sick, right?
right.
But I knew there was something deep inside me that pushed me to sabotage myself, to sabotage my health, to sabotage my relationship, and to sabotage my prosperity. And I just wanted to find out what the heck happened, because I was good with treating people physically. I was happy with myself, right? I don't know everything. I'm not claiming that, but I had okay result. Right. I mean, actually pretty good result. For the inflammation, I was good, but the mind, I totally neglected that. The mind, emotion, and all that, blank. So I started to study that. That was the missing link for me, to be able, on top of that, to help myself, right, but also to treat my patient holistically. And that really was helping me. It's like I knew that, through my healing, I will be able to heal myself, but I will be able also to translate that into my patient, right? So it was not only about me, and that's really probably helped me, because I never panicked about the cancer, no such a thing, and about nothing except I was depressed, because of my daughter. But that's the only thing, right? But otherwise, I was like pretty calm and say, okay, looking objectively, what we can do, because I knew that was not only about me. I knew the deep purpose. My intuition told me, Alain, this is not about you. You're going to learn so much more about yourself, because I didn't have a victim mentality. I knew I was a creator, and everything happened for a reason. And I knew the reason was for me to get better as a person and to be able, therefore, to help more people. Or better people.
Amazing. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about mind clearing then.
Yeah.
And so with mind clearing, what are the principles that that people need to know as kind of how this works, or what they should start to think about as they try to understand?
Well, we all have been programmed, right? You have been programmed. I have been programmed. Everybody listening to that program has been programmed, right? So that program, so how does it work, right? So, all right, we'll go to the basic after that. So let's do that.
Okay.
So here's the thing, especially when you're around age 0 to 7 years old, right? You're like a sponge. Actually, your brain operates with different brain waves. You got theta wave, beta wave, and those brain wave, it's kind of like you are in a hypnotic stage, right? So everything that you see from the outside, in the outside, you assume it's the truth. So we assume one time, two times, and after boom, it become a program. And that program is stored what we call in the subconscious mind. Because you see, artists, we've got two minds. It's kind of, we are living in a two separate world at the same time. So we've got the outside world, right? And this is called the conscious mind. And it's basically what you're aware of. So what are you aware of? Your thought, your emotion, your behavior, and your action, right? Mm-hmm. It's basically your self-identity, your personality. How do you perceive the world? How you perceive the reality, right?
Right.
And after, you've got a mind that is very secretive, hidden. You don't really know what's going on down there, right? And we're going to call it the subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind records everything you have been doing in your life from age 0 to now. All your skills as a podcaster, if you're a dad, as a dad, and also at whatever skill you need in order to perform in life, right, are stored in your subconscious mind. All the automatic process in your body, your physiology, all the things you don't have to think about it and happen naturally, right? Like your heartbeat, your breathing, your digestion, they are coming from your subconscious mind. So I say, wow, that subconscious mind, that's crazy, right? How powerful it is, right? And so people, if you guys are driving, I would advise you to stop if you can, keep your seatbelt on, because what I'm going to tell you should maybe change the way you think or who you are as a person. That's how deep it is. So let me tell you that. So if you do a ratio between your conscious mind and the subconscious mind, so how many percent is your conscious mind? Well, it depends who you're reading. Your conscious mind, and you can Google that at any time, your conscious mind is only 5 or 10% of your mind. Therefore, your subconscious mind, which actually you are not aware at all what the heck is going on down there, right, is 90 to 95% of your mind. Meaning that if you want to find solution for your health, if you want to transform yourself and grow, what we're going to focus on? Only on our conscious mind, right?
Yeah.
So it means you're going to use only 5 or 10% of your mind power to resolve the problem. So I thought to myself, hey, you know what? Why not bringing the subconscious mind to the party, right? Why not using 100% of our mind power to resolve our problem and find creative solution? That's what the mind clearing is about.
That's amazing. We talked a little bit earlier about the subconscious mind and accessing it, because the access to the subconscious mind is what has proven difficult for almost everyone, right? And so I learned very recently that really hypnosis is an example of a way to access the subconscious mind, and it has the participant and it has someone who's directing, and the instruction helps the person access that part of their mind. How do you start to access that mind in mind clearing?
Well, I used to travel a lot of artists, right? I love to travel, I told you, right? And the most frustration I had with my traveling is when I meet a cool guy, like you, a cool guy like you, and you don't speak, I speak only French. I'm guessing you don't speak French, right? And so we don't speak the same language. So, okay, we can, do some things, but how deep our conversation is going to be, right? Pretty superficial. Here's the problem, you need to speak the same language. Because the technique contrary to hypnosis, you can even do it on yourself. It has nothing to do with hypnosis, what I'm talking about, right? It's like as simple as, what is the language of a subconscious mind? Well, you know what? Your subconscious mind communicates with you when you remember a dream. So what do you remember of a dream? There's always a picture associated with it, right? Or a series of pictures, right? I never had anybody told me, you know what, Dr. Salas, I remember only the smell of a dream. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, you know, that's not possible, right? So there's always a picture, right? And so that's why, you know, when we are talking now, there's my conscious mind register 11 bits per second of data, right? Mm-hmm. My subconscious mind register 11 million bits per second of data, meaning that it's 11 million times more powerful, right? Why? Because it uses picture to communicate. See, that's why I make that point. Mm-hmm. So right now, listening to you, my conscious mind gets 11 bits of data per second, right? Behind the scene, I'm getting 11 million things that I'm not aware of. And it's stored in my subconscious mind. Isn't it crazy?
That is absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
So
and those pieces of data that you're getting, they're influencing things, right? Like because you see people, you see facial expressions, you're not really consciously processing facial expressions, but somewhere those expressions are telling you to make that point or not make that point. They're hearing you, they're not hearing you. They understand, they don't understand. So there's a lot of data that's coming at you behind the scenes that you're not really thinking about. And I assume that's some of the stuff that's going on in the other piece, in the subconscious portion.
That's what we call good vibe or bad vibe, right? That's what we can define like this, right? Is I've got good vibe, or my intuition is like this, or that non-said, you know, that thing. They say that, you know, when you do a public speaking, they will remember or get maybe 5 or 10% of what you have been saying. But all that other things, why people will buy your stuff or why people will agree with you, right, is because, you know, like you say, your body language, but there's much more that we don't know. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, we don't know. There's like bad things that we can read, and I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to go even deeper if you allow me, right? Let's take an example. You know, whose program, because you've got two kind of program. You've got programs that are serving you, right? We call that empowering belief. And you've got programs that are not serving you, and we've got that limiting belief, right? So let's pretend there's a little girl. Let's give you an example. I think our audience will appreciate that. And so let's pretend there's a little girl that sees her dad that is a drunk. He come back home and beat up his wife every night. What do you think the little girl's going to attract as a romantic relationship down the road?
Yeah, and that's been proven time and time again, right?
Yes.
She finds her father.
Abusive relationship, right?
Yep.
So let's go a little bit deeper, understand, and try to understand what the heck is going on. First of all, if I ask her, now she's a woman, I say, oh, by the way, do you enjoy to get beat up like your mom? So the conscious mind is going to say, heck no, of course not. But the subconscious mind has been programmed as men are predator and women are prey. So let's see how it works. Let's pretend I'm the subconscious mind of that woman now, right? And so, because how they're going to attract each other? They're going to say, can you come and beat me up, right? I mean, we know it's not going to happen that way.
That's not, yeah.
So the subconscious mind, first of all, it has to be only one way. Our subconscious mind are all connected. That's why we say we are one, right? Doesn't mean that we have to love everybody, right? That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, we are connected. And so that subconscious mind is going to be able to read the guy, you know, subconscious mind. And that's how it works. And so that woman's subconscious mind is going to say, hey, look at this guy. He has been bullied and now he's a bully. He's got the program predator. Hey, you know what? Fall in love with him. And so after I'm going to be the subconscious mind of that guy, and the subconscious mind of that guy is going to say, look, she's got the prey program. You're a bully. That's a perfect match for you. You fall in love with him. And after, like we say in America, it takes two to tango, right? And they're going to start that dance, and and there's 3 different case scenarios. First of all, she marries the guy and gets stuck for the rest of her life. And we all have heard or know some relationship like that, right? And we say, like, she got beat up, she even called the cops and never pressed charges. And we say, why she's still with this guy, right? because of that programming. That's how powerful it is, right? Case scenario number 2. She may get with a guy, got tired, a bit beat up, right? And after, there's 2 ways there. But along the way, she may have a kid, with this guy, or maybe with another guy. I mean, lots of suffering, obviously, right? And so there's 2 ways that I've heard, like 2 different realization, if I can say. The first one will be, Dr. Salas, don't talk to me about men. Men are not good for me. I'm done with men. I don't want any more relationship. Right? It's kind of like there's a fire. She put her finger in a fire once. She said, "Oh man, it hurts."
Never again.
Twice. Oh, it really hurt. I said, "Oh, I'm done. I understand." So it's just a certain level of awareness, right? But it's not true healing, right? And so what would be true healing? Because we can heal, obviously, from our life experiences, right? Of course. Mm-hmm. Just takes some time, and there's no certainty of being healed, right? But basically, if she heals, that's what will happen after. She's going to attract somebody, but it's totally different. Somebody is very kind to her. Somebody that treat her like a princess, like treat her as an equal, right? And somebody that is that love her truly for who she is and not abusive at all, right? And so that's how you know you heal. When it manifests, when you create a different reality for yourself in your life.
So,
or if I may say, add one more thing, or she can come to see me and we can do mind clearing and clear that in a couple of sessions.
Well, and that was actually going to be my question is like once you are working with someone and they are trying to understand the programming, how long does it take to understand the programming and then reprogram? Right. So, because in most of these cases, or I guess in all of them, since, as you described, 0 to 7, you're being programmed, right? This is a lifetime worth of things. And so how do you start to think about the reprogramming?
So let me put something in perspective, right? Let's compare the mind to a computer, right? Like that people can, everybody knows how a computer works, right? And so basically, most of the people. So basically, your hard drive will be the brain. Your software will be the subconscious mind. The output of your software will be your conscious mind. And your behavior is going to be reflected on the screen of life, if you want. So you've got good programming and bad programming, right? So when you've got a computer, right? And you've got a program, it doesn't work for you any longer, right? You say, I'm done with this program. What are you going to do? You're going to delete, put that in the trash. Step number 1 of the mind clearing. Number 2, you're going to go to the Play Store and download a program that works better for you. Step number 2 of the mind clearing, right? And after, when you're going to see in the screen of life the result that you're going to get, wow, you're going to be so happy with it. Step number 3 on the mind clearing. So basically, you delete what you don't want, you download what you want, and after you create and you make sure you manifest that into your life, that you can see that in your screen of life. That's how complicated it is. Ironically, I'm saying that, obviously. It's very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. See, that's why I'm telling you, because if you in my field, here's the problem. They're going to tell you, oh, you need to write a diary. You need to feel that every day. You need to do some affirmation, visualization, and repetition. When you need to do things lots of time, it means you don't speak the same language. It's like if I need to repeat again, do this lots of time to understand that I'm unscrewing something because I cannot communicate with you, right? For you to, it's kind of, the game that you have to guess what it is, and people make gesture, right? I don't remember the name of the game, right? Because you cannot speak, right? That's the kind of things I think it's happening. Even hypnosis is not very specific. And one more thing I want to add, it's like none of those techniques claim or even dare pretend to treat pain like mind clearing does. You see, that become very real, right? I really knew, to be honest with you, I really knew I was under something when I was able to treat pain. Because pain, you cannot fake it. Although it's subjective, right? It just depends on the people. But it's still either it's there or it's not there, right? I mean, you cannot fake it, right? You cannot say, oh, now suddenly I want to please my doctor and I'm going to say I'm no pain. No, right? And so I really knew I was under something. And now the way it is, to give you an idea, because that was the root of your question, right? To give you an idea, we can treat pain like within a couple of visits, right? 70 to 80% of the people, the pain will go permanently and never come back. The first visit, what happened, the pain will go down. If it's 8 or 9, will go down to 0 or 2 or 3. And after, when they go home, well, I can do that online, by the way, right? I mean, when I will explain more in detail, you understand why I'm saying that, right?
Yeah.
So after I will tell them, if the pain comes back, you write down your circumstances. So let's say you spend too long in your computer, 3 hours, you say, oh, my neck pain came back. You write that down. And the next visit, we call that resistance of healing. So all the things that trigger that pain again, we will delete it using mind clearing. And that's it. Just a question of time.
Wow. So for the game you're talking about is charades. I'll never think about charades again.
Charades,
the same again. Yeah, because that's a great example.
It came to me today. You my muse, I guess.
And so, but you can do this from online. You can do this remotely.
Because
you can help people.
These things is about empowering you to heal yourself, and there's no better healing than that, or better transformation than that. It's the holy grail of healing. When you empower somebody to heal himself or herself, I mean, tell me something that is better. I don't see it, right? And so why? Because I'm giving you the technology, right, to reprogram yourself, right? You're going to use 90 or 95% of your mind power that you didn't have access. You're going to tell the subconscious, hey, buddy, I don't want this. I want this instead, right? And make sure it's going to happen into my life. That's basically it.
And so if I am someone who's listening to this episode and now I am thinking, this may be for me, how do they find you and how do they work with you?
So the main things I always encourage to experience, people to experience things, because experience is true knowledge. Because we can, like you said, we can talk about that forever. But till you experience something, you don't know really, right? I mean,
right.
You don't know. First of all, you are not sure it's going to work for you. And think, so what do you have to lose? Just book a treatment with me. If you do that and they mention your podcast, they will get 20, I think it's 30% off. Actually, I don't remember. But something like that.
We'll take
right?
30. We love it.
Yeah, I'm sure you take 30. Oops, now it has to be 30, right? So, because of artists, going to be 30% off, right? And you spend an hour with me and we'll reprogram whatever you want. And so the way we do that, just want to make sure that I will tell you, okay, whatever, give me a things that that somebody or not you, or if it's you, it doesn't matter, that you want to get rid of, that you don't like in your life. It can be an emotion, can be the thought, can be a behavior, it can be whatever, a pain, whatever you give me.
Let's say we want to get better with patience. So we want to be able to...
Okay, so being impatient.
Yes, get rid of impatience.
Okay,
yes.
So that's the problem, right? So I'm impatient, right? And so if you're impatient, I'll say, okay, artist, what do you need to do? You go visualize yourself. You have to be on that picture. You're going to visualize yourself being like very impatient, right? I mean, the most impatient you have been in your life, right? So you're going to visualize that, right? And after, you're going to send a program to you in that picture, right? And so the program, I'm going to give you what the program is, and I will customize it to you, right? And after the deletion, if you're impatient, I will say, how much impatient are you when you're looking at the picture? If it's a good picture, it should be 8 or 9, right? I mean, you're really impatient. At the end of step number 1, it should be 0. You don't have that feeling anymore. You may see that picture the same, can be different or whatever, but it's gone already, right?
Oh,
but it's not enough. It's not enough. You want to make sure that you replace, you delete that, but you want to replace with something which is maybe for you to be, what is the opposite for you of impatience, right? What you would like to be instead of being impatient, right? So you visualize that. That's your own subconscious mind. That's why it works so well. Because, who am I to tell you what your picture can be? No, it's not my job. Your job, because it's your subconscious mind, right? So you will visualize another picture. I'm going to tell you what to do for the download, customize it. I'm just a guide helping you, right? And you're going to send that program and do the download, and you're going to download that into your subconscious mind. And after the step number 3, to create that, to make sure it manifests, okay, how do you see yourself? What are you doing now that you are so patient or whatever, right? And so you're going to visualize yourself doing that. And after there's more that if you want to reach your goal, which is a part of a goal and success clearing, right? Because I created a program literally that we can use your subconscious mind to make sure you're going to reach your goal much faster, and maybe using like things that you didn't think about that, because at each step of the way is going to increase your clarity, your focus, and your motivation. So contrary or what you do something, what's going to prevent you to not doing it is become too hard, right? And so that's the opposite. Instead of being that way and become harder and harder, with this technique, you become easier and easier and faster. So it's
amazing,
exponential, right? And so that's how it's a question of time to reach your goal. So if you want to expand that, you go to themindclearing.com, you contact, you push, click on contact. You're going to see a form that comes up, or you're going to have like my email. And you email me right now. That's the way it is now. It's going to change, but that's the way it is. And so you email me and say, okay, I want a session. I've heard about it. Artist told me I can get 30% off. 30% off. Remember, it's 30, it's not 20. Anyway, so it's 30% off. And so we'll book a session online. Why it doesn't matter if it's online or even physically? Because you are the one healing yourself. You're the one transforming. I'm just guiding you. So it doesn't matter. You can be in Timbuktu. We can be on the phone. We can be whatever, code using the code light or whatever. It's still gonna work because that's what it's just so amazing. That's what. Yes, and you can learn it to do it yourself. For people who are really sick, I will recommend to get a coach because it's much harder, to do it on yourself when you're so overwhelmed with sickness, disease, and so many symptoms, right? But if you want to learn it yourself, you can. I'm teaching it. I'm teaching, clearly when I had was insight, right? I knew that it was given to me for everybody, right? So now if you're a coach or health professional and you really want to go deeper in the healing and have results that you even never dream of experiencing, you can still do what you're doing. And when you either roadblock or setback or your patient, cannot go through something, do the mind clearing. I guarantee you're going to be really happily surprised of the result you're going to get, right? And so that can be something you add to your program, right? And so, and you can do it on yourself too. You see, that's what is amazing because the goal is just to have that domino effect, right? Because if you truly want to change the world, there's only one way in my book that you can do that. Is you need to be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah, I love it. Dr. Alain, thank you for spending the time with us because I think not only did we learn a lot about how you've thought about things, but it's really thought-provoking for us to each kind of think about how we can make improvements and access that subconscious mind. And so we also appreciate you being willing to speak and work with people who may be listening to the show. And so I will link the website that you gave us as part of the show, as well as your book, so that people know exactly what you have to offer. So thank you so much.
The book is about the brain because at that time I was studying more the brain, right? And my conclusion was if you want to have a better brain working better, you need to focus on your second brain, which is your gut. Anyway, that's another story.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And again, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Everyone, you've got such a good heart. Thank you so much.
If you've made it this far, then I have to thank you for your time. I hope you've learned something new and enjoyed listening to the discussion as much as I enjoyed having it. I'd love to hear from you about the show because we're working really hard to bring you great content and the feedback really helps us get better. If you like what you've heard or watched, for those of you who are streaming out on YouTube, then take a split second to give us a thumbs up or a like. It really helps other people like you find the show too. And no one likes to miss out on the good stuff. So go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't have to wonder when or if there's a new episode. And until next time, stay remarkable.